Thank you very much. That was a really encouraging message. Good morning. I'm Walter Jennings. I'm your MC on the main stage for the day. And I'm actually a Hong Kong businessman, have been running my own startup for the last 5 years. And much of what we just heard is right on target in terms of the support you get from the government, the numerous channels that are available. And in fact, there's an entire day dedicated on one of our stages to all that you can access through Hong Kong government, and we'll have more on that. So what I wanted to do before we dive into the content of day 2 is I wanted to look in the rearview mirror for a moment. And here we are on the main stage powered by Visa with Karena Belin, and she's been one of the superstars organizing the 200 plus speakers, the 20,000 attendees, the 6 different stages. So tell me, how was your day yesterday?
Well, my day was fantastic, and because I'm not the only person behind this, so you mentioned about organizing it, so I really want to give a huge shout out again to the team. Fantastic, thank you so much. You rocked day 1, and we're ready for day 2. Obviously, once again, a shout out to Invest Hong Kong and our friends at Start Me Up Hong Kong. So wonderful. Really, we're super pumped up. We had fantastic content yesterday.
Yeah, and really good
engagement. Yesterday,
yeah.
You know, Walter, because let's look a little bit back. I want to look back even more than a year, because Walter, he's actually rockstar. He was already our amazing MC. A speaker last year.
Yeah, so last year I was in the physical world, and we were down at the Hong Kong Convention Center here in Wan Chai. Great, huge stage with hundreds of people on various stages. I have to say, one thing I like about the virtual event over the live event is it's not as noisy. When there was crosstalk amongst the various stages, and you really felt people rushing into a room, it really heightened my FOMO, fear of missing out. But now we're able to capture and relive every moment. But yes, we've gone from a fully physical world to a fully virtual world. And perhaps in the future, we'll have a blended event between real life and online.
Right. Well, actually, the title of the session is, what happens at SIS stays at SIS, right? Which is a little bit difficult with social media these days. But talking about noise, I mean, come over to the war room, right? The noise is happening within the team behind the scenes, right? When you're like, we're on stage 4, now we have to switch to stage 3. Are you sure the guys who are pitching, they don't fight their mic? It's really, but it's fun. It's super exciting.
Yeah, no, look, I would encourage you all to come over and visit the war room. It is powered by Mexican food at lunchtime and Chinese food at nighttime. And I have never seen such a stellar collection of workers and interns and technical production professionals. It really is a big machine that's helping to make this appear effortless.
Well, thank you. Well, again, in true Hong Kong style, very diverse, multinational, multi-age, multi-background. Yeah. So coming back actually to your question, you ask me a question, I kind of like don't reply, but then I'm polite enough to say I didn't.
No, but you said what happens at SIS stays at SIS. Now, if you've been watching the hashtag SIS20, you'll see that some of the news is leaking out.
Totally. Well, arguably, that's a little bit part of what we really want to achieve, right? Making sure that we highlight the tremendous diversity and opportunities here in Hong Kong, but not only Hong Kong. So yesterday, to your point, we have been thrilled, to have startups call in from around the world. So when I get asked about the highlights, I'm going to talk about the amazing speakers. I'm going to talk about the 36 online hackathon, Hack Asia, powered by Jardins, that we're hosting. Of course, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the tremendous support from our wonderful, sponsors. So we're here on main stage. Thanks, to Visa helping support us. I want to give a shout out to Christy from Swartz Spindlerslace and Associates, our gold sponsors. And they're not only sponsoring this event, they are hands-on. Christy is throughout the year a great supporter of the tech and innovation ecosystem here in Hong Kong. So of course I'm going to talk about all that, but you know me, what really makes my heart sing is the fact that so many startups are leveraging this opportunity to get showcased, to get visibility, to understand about the opportunities in Hong Kong and internationally, and get connected.
Yeah, I must say, I think it's the connections that are the best. I've been watching my LinkedIn outreach just explode. I've had a number of dozens of people want to connect with me based on just being MC. And I'm far from a startup, and I'm certainly not a unicorn, but I'm thrilled with the active connections. One of the advantages of a virtual event is that ability to draw in speakers from around the world. I led a panel yesterday for a short period of time that had speakers from Morocco, London, and Germany. And we wouldn't have been able to bring that crowd together here in Hong Kong due to, just people not always available when you want them. So the ability to dial in people and grab the best talent where you could. But the other element that I said about connections is also being able to find people across a wide range of subject areas. I mean, we've got 6 stages, we've got 2 days of content, and on average, there are at least 3 to 5 people on stage at any one time. So you've got hundreds of different experts and professionals with knowledge on everything from food to trees to, delivery to fintech to coding, all of these different areas. So please do take a look through the agenda and figure out who you want to meet, who you want to connect to, watch their presentation, reach out to them, and listen. If you're on the main stage, ask a question, because I've been moderating those and giving shout outs to people who have been writing to us during the talk. So it's a really nice way to engage with the panel.
No, absolutely. And again, the reason why this conference is called SIS, Startup Impact Summit, is really not only to showcase impact, but really make impact, right? Through creation of connections, through understanding and awareness building on all the opportunities you have. So about some of the highlights from main stage, powered by Visa yesterday, we were really, really lucky to have some amazing speakers from UNDP and also World Economic Forum call in. Because this year we said, when we talk about impact, why not showcase all the impact startups and the tech and innovation ecosystem at large provide with regards to the 17 UN SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, right? So that was really, really one highlight, talking about, impact. We also had on the main stage a question about impact investing, very interesting, a perspective from China, right, with one of the most active and successful early stage VCs in China calling in.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk around the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, tech for good, and impact investing and impact philanthropy. I mean, what I really liked about this is they're saying we're not just trying to kind of give money to band-aid a solution. What we really want to do is peel back and understand the underlying issues. So that way you can make real sustainable change that will make a difference in people's lives. So when you say Startup Impact Summit, there is a lot featured on tech for good, tech that is life-changing, and also tech that is quickly pivoting and responding to coronavirus and connecting people and helping with retail and helping with payments. I mean, the whole concept of contactless payments, we barely scratched the surface of the subject, so there's more to explore.
That's true. We talk, when the overall festival is under the theme of what's next, right? We talked about the future of payment. So we had also, one of our, village sponsors, DBS, animate a talk on that. We talked about the future of gaming. We had a fantastic talk with one of the main players active globally, right?
I really enjoyed that conversation. As the father of a 16-year-old, I thought it was the only session he might possibly listen to.
I was going to say, my kid's like, Yat is telling you I can make a living out of gaming when I'm an adult. So, I mean, that's obviously a bit challenging as a parent then to manage at home.
No, look, I think that it's a true calling because in the gaming that I grew up with, we were stuck in the developer's world using the developer's tools, and we were kind of Nintendo or Atari or Xbox or whatever. But nowadays, under blockchain, you're getting people who are being paid to help create new worlds and create new applications, and then there's ownership.
It creates true ownership, exactly. Yeah. So that's again what we explained yesterday. Thanks to blockchain, the true ownership of what you create in the virtual world, makes you an integral part of that, ecosystem. So yes, you can actually, by playing, creating your own skins, right? By breeding kitties on the blockchain, and we had the founder of CryptoKitties with us. Really was insightful and kind of like looking what's next. We had a panel on Venture State about art and tech, right? About what's next when we merge like a very, very traditional industry with a very, forward-looking modern technology such as blockchain.
I'm still trying to conceptualize how you might tokenize Andy Warhol, but there is a possibility of that. And we're looking at ways that art, even a traditional subject, is being disrupted and is changing the way its future looks.
One other thing I want to say when we talk about impact, again, something that is very special and dear to our heart, is when we see that successful entrepreneurs are giving back to the community. So one other highlight I thought, is when we had showcased 3 of our homegrown unicorns here in Hong Kong. So we had SenseTime, WeLab, and Lalamove on the panel and talking really about how they took advantage of being based and headquartered here in Hong Kong to grow their companies to such a tremendous scale, and then also how they are giving back to the community.
Now, I'm going to jump ahead because I want to, while we're on the subject, give a shout out. If you're really keen and looking for more on Hong Kong bodies that are supporting startups, if you go to our international and Greater Bay Area stage today, we have a number of talks by the groups here in the room that are helping out. Everything from Invest Hong Kong, Hong Kong Productivity Council, the Trade Development Council, and then some great spots like Cyberport and the Hong Kong Science Technology Park. I'm an occupant of Hong Kong Science Technology Park, so these are great centers that actually the more you dig, the more you find. So please do, if you're in that startup mode, look around at the many resources that are available, and they're all on the international and GBA stage today.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that we realized is really there's a need of creating visibility for all these amazing resources we have here. So if you want to go on WHub.io and download our ecosystem white papers, a general one, a fintech specific one, and now we also issued a Greater Bay Area startup ecosystem white paper to make sure that you know exactly how to get in touch with.
Yeah, and what to expect and how to partner well. And that's whether you're here in Hong Kong or you're looking at it from overseas. All of these bodies have really vibrant outreach programs. So they're the people for you to talk to. Now, Karena, what's going on day 2? We did a 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. yesterday, 11 hours of content. Does that mean we can take today off?
Not at all, not at all. And even though some people may have totally not slept over the night, so they still have to stick in. So one thing is what is happening right now behind the scenes. I talked about Hack Asia, right, which is the online hackathon, which is one integral part of the Startup Impact Summit, powered by Jardins and hosted by WHub. So these guys are 24/7, even more so now that we're really online, right? They're right now getting ready to have their semi-final pitches at 1 o'clock, and you can all tune in at 5 p.m. when the finals will be live streamed here on the main stage.
So we've got Hack Asia. Don't we also have a pitching stage underway?
We also had startups pitch throughout the day yesterday and also today, really also once again under the umbrella of Tech for Good. So we have a dedicated pitching stage. If you're interested, please tune in to that very dedicated pitching stage. Again, startups from around the world.
Yeah. And what I really like about watching on the pitching stage is every time you see a pitch, you learn something. You're like, oh, I could use that. Or, oh, I like the way they express that. So if you're developing your own company, it's a great way to see the competition, but also to learn and to see what peer groups, what peer companies are going through and the way they express themselves, because that's the one thing we're always learning. And that's why you have to keep tuned in and keep looking around the various stages.
Absolutely. And again, one hackathon is not enough. So we're running actually. So I mean, this hackathon is already huge. I think we had over thousands of applications for that hackathon, and have now 10 different challenges. And within these 10 different challenges, 8 to 10 teams pitching. So you can just get a little bit a sense of the size we're talking here. But we also have a mini hack running right now with a very specific problem statement. And once again, companies calling in from around the world, US, South America, Europe, of course, Asia. So these finals are going to take place from 4 to 5.
Yeah, no, I know that when we had some early morning talks yesterday, we had a few complaints from the crowds in London saying, I had to get up at 4 a.m. in order to see this. So
I know, my friends were like, why do you put all these great talks into the morning? I really have to get up in the middle of the night.
Now, along with, we mentioned earlier Impact, and we're having an innovation and SDG workshop. You heard Karena mentioned earlier that Impact was flowing throughout the content yesterday. Last evening, there were some brilliant talks with the UN, United Nations DP, talking about sustainable health-oriented future, LGBTI, why that matters for impact and sustainability. We wrapped up talking about how the least developed countries can achieve their SDGs. But there's a whole workshop on innovation and SDGs. So if you have an impact idea, if you've got an impact startup, please head over there. There's mentoring, there's talk about cash flow, there's talk about SDGs and how you align your tech for good to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So please understand that there's a real strong impact theme running throughout these 2 days.
Yes, and I like the call to action, right? So once again, I always say you don't learn entrepreneurship in a textbook, and we're, it's all by doing. We know that. So we really want you to be active, and that's the moment where we should also recall that we have a super interactive conference running on Lark, where you can run into these workshops, really connect, exchange by texting, by video calling, one-on-one. You really should get active. That's the moment right now to make sure that you get to the contacts that you need to drive your business further.
Look, and every one of our speakers will be on Lark, and they'll be available through messaging. And if during the course of any of the talks you have any questions, if you're dialing in via Zoom, there's the Q&A function. Please do take advantage of that. I want to carry on across day 2 and move over to the growth impact stage. Now, this is very much for the startups and the companies that are scaling, and how you go about it in the right way, because we might not have the right cash flow to sustain us forever. So do we scale, do we grow, how do we build our businesses, and how do we learn from some of the most successful scale-ups and growth companies? There's also a little bit on education, banking, and cybersecurity over on growth impact stage on day 2.
Absolutely. And again, also relatively international. We're very happy that we have our friends from Chicago booth and the Polski Center calling in as well on that stage on understanding and giving people the opportunity to understand a little bit how to overcome the traction gap, right? So, and we do have indeed also some really hands-on, like how do you growth hack your startup, how do you leverage SEO, etc. So definitely a stage you should be, as a startup, for sure tune in, but I'll encourage very, very insightful speakers, everybody, to call in.
Yeah, and in fact, there's also I think a competitor to Hong Kong. There's a kind of Israel is presenting about their startup nation and R&D powerhouse. I think we'll give them a run for their money, but
Not competition. You remember,
co-opetition.
Absolutely, collaboration, and
Collaboration.
something we're really thrilled of. Again, making the bridge for helping, some of the Israeli startups actually, leverage and scale into
I've been very
Asia.
impressed with the ingenuity and the startups coming out of Israel. There's a lot we can learn. There's a lot we can create partnerships that a lot of companies globally are looking for people that can help them understand how to work in the Greater Bay Area. And Hong Kong's a natural landing place for them because of the ease of doing business, the language, the quality of life. And I think every one of us should be serving as kind of translators, ambassadors, and assistants, helping companies around the world better understand and get into the Greater Bay Area. So the one other point that's happening over on Growth Impact is a reflection later today on COVID as a wake-up call about environmental change. And so really a much bigger picture around impact, around sustainability, around the environment. And was this really kind of a big wake-up call?
Absolutely.
And then finally on Growth Impact stage, there's a lot about global connectedness and making those friends. So we've got 2 stages to go. Venture stage. Now I welcomed everyone to that on day 1. Venture stage, isn't that where the money is? Isn't that where everyone's sitting around with big fat checkbooks and unicorn powered cash flow ready to help out?
Well, for sure, but what we always say, and that we're really, really thrilled that Venture Stage is co-hosted by AngelHub, which is, Hong Kong's very first and still only SFC licensed equity crowdfunding platform. We say, we're really here to provide access to obviously startups and investors, but also know-how. The educational piece is really, really critical, right? And so we're thrilled that, Venture Stage is not only talking about money, but really talking about understanding and helping people to understand, the fundraising process throughout a life cycle of a startup, understanding how to assess business models, understanding how technology actually changes and shifts market forces, and with that creates opportunities for, new product market fits. So again, very, very diverse across technology, across industries, across certain life cycles of a startup, and across geographies.
No, look, and I listened to a client of AngelHub yesterday saying how she wished she knew when she started some of the things that were just readily known within AngelHub. So while it is crowdsourced investing, it is also a real knowledge bank because there's a lot we don't know. So we need to be able to kind of learn from people who have been through this before, join an atmosphere where we have collaboration, where we have people who are willing to say, hey, hold on, I made that mistake too, and here's what happened. So please don't feel you have to start at the very base of the stairwell. You can get a jump start up by engaging with the team at AngelHub and the venture stage.
Yeah, fantastic. And again, on the startup side, but also once again on the investor side, right? This mission of democratizing access to that very specific asset class is one of our missions. Because sometimes we have people say, well, I'm not sure, if I should really invest into this or that company. And we realize it's really about helping them understand what is their knowledge gap to then feel confident to be able to assess.
I like that you cover on venture stage today the full journey. You go from angels to scaling to exit. And for those of you who are just starting out on the journey, you don't understand that there's an entry door and there's an exit door. And so how do you figure out the path to help you capitalize on all of the hard work you've done?
Yes, and super thrilled to have our friends from 8 Securities that actually got acquired by SoFi. So that's, at the beginning, we talked with Charles from Invest Hong Kong about looking back how far our ecosystem has come over the past years. And again, it's great to see a wonderful success story showcasing how do you navigate this entire path from creation all the way up to a successful exit.
Exactly. So look for your friends AngelHub on the venture stage. But let's go back to the main stage, powered by Visa and coordinated by WHub, Invest Hong Kong, Start Me Up Hong Kong. So this is another jam-packed day. Now, thankfully, it doesn't go till 9 p.m. It's I think we wrap up about 7:30. But what are some of the highlights that you're looking forward to today?
Well, obviously, I'm really thrilled, like in a few minutes, to dial back in with Jason Calacanis, who joined us already last year at SIS Startup Impact Summit for Fireside Chat. So, I'm going to check in with him what happened over the past year, check with him if he's still the most successful angel investor in the world. He ran a masterclass last year for investors, and he also has this mission on helping, more people get access to startup investing. So I'll tune in with him on that. That's going to be very exciting. I also are very excited because one of another homegrown success story here in Hong Kong, GoGoVan, absolutely, they are going to make a big reveal today. So today is July 8th, and for those who don't know, is the anniversary of GoGoVan. And today they decided a full-fledged rebranding. I shouldn't say too much. You tune in, you will know what's next.
2:20 p.m. on the main stage. Make sure if you want to hear the latest developments from GoGoVan, and you don't say any more.
I cannot.
No,
I promise.
We've got to keep people engaged and interested. Look, one of the nice things at the main stage is it's really where we bring out some super powerful companies. I'm looking forward to a conversation being held at 1 o'clock today between Visa and ZA, the Chinese banking powerhouse that is just now one of the very first to launch virtual banking in Hong Kong, and doing so in a very innovative and clever way. So it's this is kind of old meets new, east meets west, fintech meets fintech. I'm interested to see what comes out of this conversation.
Yeah, very, very excited. Fully agree. And again, in that theme of what's next, we're obviously super thrilled to have our friends from Impossible over. So again, talking about the revolution in terms of food, what is next? I'm really much looking forward to it. We have them over in the war room. I hope they bring some Impossible burgers with them.
Yeah, no, for those of you who are live under a rock, you might not have heard of Impossible Meat. It's a plant-based alternative to meat that cooks like meat, tastes like meat, and is a real challenger. This is part of a whole food tech revolution that's occurring around the world. Singapore has said it wants to be self-reliant in food, and they don't have the land for this, but they do have the lab space and the ability to grow vertical gardens. So, I mean, these are the challenges that we're facing today, which is how do you meet the protein needs of an expanding global population with the same resources that we have?
Yes, absolutely. So yesterday already we had, fish-based with Avon Meat on one of our stages as well. And then moving over to plant-based food today. Yes, absolutely. Very exciting. I'm looking forward to that talk.
Also on the main stage at 12:30, we have a talk about the Trillion Tree Challenge. Try to say that. Trillion Tree Challenge. And this is we're led by Kenneth Kwok, who will be talking with WEF, the World Economic Forum. And the mandate there is quite simple. Get 1 trillion trees replanted to help sustain the environment. So I guess that's kind of like 99 bottles of beer on the wall times forever.
Absolutely. Super thrilled. Again, as I said, this time it was really possible to engage with speakers from around the world.
By the end of today at 5 p.m., we'll have on the main stage the final pitch of Hack Asia. And so that will be that's a 2-hour session. So please fasten your seatbelts, strap yourself in, and get ready for a wild ride as we see who comes out as a winner in the
Yeah,
final?
we had to boil down the over 800 teams to only 10 finalists. So as you can imagine, that was already relatively tough. And so the semifinals will be running just before. And then we're looking forward to each of the challenge winners. So if you go on hack.asia, you can see the 10 different challenges that were posted. So all of these winners then at the end will try to fight for the grand prize, which is a cash prize, but even more important. And again, it comes back to the overall mission and theme of Startup Impact Summit of creating impact, and they can win an opportunity to implement their solutions with all the different business units that our main partner Jardins for that hackathon has brought along, plus some other wonderful partners who came along, such as Accenture and Microsoft and HSBC.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, please do take a look at the judges in this evening's event. We've got Anna Reardon, who kicked us off yesterday. She's the Group Director of Digital at Jardine Matheson. She's also bringing along Michael Poon, who's the Chief Executive of Jardine Matheson. We have the Head of Markets, Jeremy Sheldon, Asia Pacific for JLL. We have the Global Head of Mobile and Smart Channels at HSBC, Charles Allen. We've got Callie Chan, who's the General Manager, Microsoft Hong Kong and Macau. So please do look at who's on stage, but look at who's evaluating them. And those are people you might want to connect to via LinkedIn, via the Q&A channel, and via Lark.
Absolutely. And, talking about, again, making impact, another exciting talk that is coming up is about tech for good, again, in terms of understanding, what are some of the impact startups and what are the type of solutions that they are providing that can really, really make a big impact and be a game changer, once again, with regards to the 17 UN SDGs.
Yeah, and there's also going to be a unicorn talk from an insurance disruption company coming out of India.
Absolutely. So once again, of course, we love to talk about, Hong Kong, and we're very proud of how far we came over the past few years. But we also want to showcase, success stories from other ecosystem, and very, very thrilled to have our friends from Policy Bazaar back on a panel and talk a little bit about how they disrupted the insurance industry in India. Only 1.3 billion people. So let's tune in how they did that.
And also at the same time, we still have our services marketplace, our jobs fair. If you go have a walk around, you can see the different booths. It's a little bit like being back at the convention center or out at Asia Expo Center and walking through a trade fair. And there are people behind the booths ready to answer your question.
I think though that the avatar doesn't look too much like you, right? I think we have to do a better job on the avatars next time.
Well, I'm kind of liking living in a virtual world, I must say. It's kind of nice to kind of man a conference from behind a desk with a computer in front of you. That said, and I do apologize, we have had one or two minor technology challenges, but that's the beauty of being at the bleeding edge of advanced technology. I mean, a lot of what we're doing may look seamless to you, but it involves a half dozen different platforms. It involves hundreds of people. It involves multiple streams. And so occasionally we've crossed our wires, so to speak, but everyone's been really spot on about calling us out and saying, hey, can you turn that music down? You've got the wrong person talking. So our apologies. We aim for perfection and we provide something just slightly less.
Fantastic. Yeah, but a wonderful call out once again to become really active during the conference, right? So the job fair is running as well, right? As always, we say it's an opportunity for you to turn your passion into profession. So look out there. We have amazing startups looking for great talent. That is one thing. The services marketplace for startups to connect to resources they need. The Industry Village and Startup Village. So Industry Village sponsored by DBS and the Startup Village that are really once again there to provide a platform for startups to showcase their product and services, and go into their booth, into their virtual booth, ask them for a demo, get connected directly to their websites, get directly in touch. Once again, virtual conference, no business cards. Great. Don't have to scan 500 business cards at the end of the day. You're already connected.
No, and I've noticed that when you talk about the jobs fair, I've been watching the stream on Lark. There are a number of, each stage has its own stream. And the jobs fair stream has just been putting up, I need someone in food tech, I need someone in coding, I'm looking for someone here. And then at the same time, I've had plenty of people who are saying, I am really wanting to get engaged in impact for good, and how can I turn my passion for sustainability and technology into a job? So it's a really great matchmaking service to have the companies there that are looking, because look, it is one of the biggest challenge every company faces is there's a skills shortage. You know, there's just not, you can't ever find the right people at the right time you need them. So this is trying to help fill that gap.
Absolutely. And again, the fact that it's now really international, and that by now everybody seems to be pretty used by, you know, dialing and zooming in from home and working from home. Once again, we're actually thrilled about the additional opportunities it provides.
Now, I'm one who always looks ahead, and I want to crowdsource from the audience now some ideas for Startup Impact Summit 2021. I know we still have a day to go, sorry, to look ahead, but you know,
It's funny, you know, when I say we packed 365 days into, you know, a 1 or 2 day conference, little did I know that we actually did have, you know, planned this for an entire year. Giles said we had to postpone it a couple of times, so it's more than a year back. So yeah, now we have 365 days or maybe less until next SIS.
No, look, and if you were with us last year, you saw us in physical world. And if you're with us this year, you're seeing us in the virtual world. My view is next year will probably be some blend, the best of both worlds. But what I want to do is ask you, what's missing? What haven't we covered? I mean, we honestly, I mean, we've got pages of content and hundreds of speakers and dozens of partners, but we missed something, and I don't know what that is. And that's why we need to crowdsource from you thoughts, ideas, program suggestions. Challenge us, make it impossible. Make it impossible for us to meet next year's expectations, and we will try.
Yeah, well, you know, we don't take no for an answer. But yeah, feedback is a gift. Please shoot it out. And I was just wondering if you were going to name the challenge, because you said physical world, virtual world. I thought that you already wanted to put out on planet Mars, but I think we'll wait a bit for that. You know, we're not sure we're really ready yet with the rockets.
Well, no, I think we have to call up SpaceX and get them involved and come to you from the International Space Station. So that's a good challenge. I'll take that one on myself.
Fantastic.
And at the same time, please challenge our partners. We've got great resources available. We're coming to you from the offices of Invest Hong Kong. We have the Productivity Council, the Trade Development Council. We have Start Me Up Hong Kong. We have WHub. We have AngelHub, Visa, Jardine, Microsoft. So many other companies, and they're also willing to take on the challenge. What do you want from them next year that's even harder to do than what we did this year? So think through and be crazy. It's okay. A little bit of crazy doesn't hurt. But yeah, so that's for next year. We have 364 days to plan it.
Fantastic. Yeah, always start with a dream, right? And once again, yes, we have 364 days to plan it. A huge shout out to the team. Amazing. Your startup passion is exemplary. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, as you said before, there's a war room back in head office filled with dozens of people who are just all cooperating and coming together to make this a reality. So we have our next speaker is a talk with Jason Calacanis, and that's kicking off in a few minutes.
Yes. I think so. Yes, I think we'll just have to get ready soon. But I think until then, I'll just want to, you know, again, put the highlight on one thing. please make sure that you are as interactive as possible. So you're on a virtual platform where you can see all the different booths of startups, of our partners. Go and visit them. But at the same time, we also have this very interactive conference app, which is Lark. I mean, every conference has an app. Now, this time, it's not only the conferencing app, but it's also the virtual networking area. And as you said, these chats are super active. There's one channel by theme. I think we're already at, I think, 80 channels or so. So again, FOMO is a little bit part of the game.
And as you'll see right below, right down here on your screen, there is a place to ask questions when you're watching a panel. And I will tell you that I've moderated a few sessions, and when we have questions from the audience, it really is brilliant, and it allows us to engage and answer your question live. You can ask them by name or you can ask them anonymously. It seems that I got a lot of tough questions by name, and I got 2 or 3 compliments from anonymous.
That's cute. That's cute. Yes, again, that's one of the advantages, actually. I mean, if you're sitting in the convention center and you have an audience of 500 people, you cannot start curating questions and answers, right? So again, the fact that we're now online, just shoot your messages and your questions away, and we can have a look at them.
Yeah,
particularly if they're flattering, right?
Yeah, well, if they're flattering, please don't send them anonymously. That's very hard to follow up. But to all, what happens tomorrow? I guess a good lie down, a bit of a sleep in.
Yeah, so well, the good thing, again, now that everybody is already connected over Lark, that app doesn't shut down. So yes, you can have a little bit of a rest, but you can keep, the hassle, you can keep on hassling and hacking without limitations.
Well, and also while the Startup Impact Summit ends at the close of today, Start Me Up Festival Hong Kong continues until the 10th of July. So make sure you check out the next, gosh, we've got 3 more days of content if you include today. So that's a lot coming at you. Please, what I suggest is go deep. Listen to as much as you possibly can, because every single time you tune into a presentation or into a conversation, you learn something, and you never know when that knowledge will come in handy and how it will help you go from, let's see, angel to scaling to exit. With your own journey.
Absolutely, and thank you very much. Actually, of course, when you asked me about what's next, I thought about not necessarily talking about the Start Me Up Hong Kong Festival Week, which you are totally right. There is still, a few more days of content, even here through this live stream, right? So we talked with Charles from Invest Hong Kong at the opening session, right? And said, tune in into, the lifestyle content from Jumpstart. We have the Mills Fabrica with an ecosystem summit, and we have CNAF Finance with the financial awards. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, it's a great week to be a startup, and it's a great week to be in Hong Kong, and it's a great week to be attending this virtually from wherever in the world you are. One of the things I also did like is through connections with the UN, we're doing a lot to make this broadcast as widely available as possible. So in some countries, people are accessing this by audio only because they might not have the broadband necessary for the video stream. So, it's a great example of how a developed country like Hong Kong with a great infrastructure can help out some of the lesser developed countries around the world in their growth and their aim for achieving their sustainable development goals.
I think that sounds like a really, really beautiful closing remark for the start of day 2. Yeah.
I'm exhausted and we haven't even begun yet.
Oh my God, no. Okay, let me give you some startup passion.